I'm Chip Townsend, and this is the Team Chip Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Team Chip Podcast. Chip Townsend here. I just wanted to jump in and share an episode that was really near and dear to my heart, something that I'm super passionate about, and that is engaging parents. It's kind of it's creating the culture in your martial arts school that gets parents engaged. And this is actually kind of an event focused podcast here. We're going to do 3 parts on this. And this first part's going to be kind of a little bit about the why, right? So why this event works, why it's important, but it's so important in our martial arts schools that we engage the parents and not just the kids on the mat. Now, whenever I talk about this, yes, we have all ages from 4 years old all the way to, 70 plus. And I'm kind of speaking to the kids class group, but engaging those parents of those kids that are sitting at the sideline. And a long time ago, we started running this event around May called Moms on the Mat. And in June, we call it Dads on the Mat. We do it in May because May is Mother's Day month. June is Father's Day month. And we're always looking for ways, how can we strengthen the nuclear family? How can we pour into the nuclear family? How can we get them connected? And through the years, I've had, people talk to me about, oh man, my kid's kind of a preteen or a teen or whatever you want to, label that nowadays. And, we just don't have any common interest. We don't communicate well. We're not coming together. And in my mind, I just kind of think, oh my gosh, the universal connecting point is the mat. It just works. And the reason I know this and the reason I'm so passionate and confident about this is because whenever I started martial arts at 13 years old, 2 months after I started, I earned my yellow belt and my dad signed up. And some of our best memories ever were my dad and I at home practicing our self-defenses, our, kickboxing and sparring and, just getting in the living room, putting our gear on and just kind of pummeling each other and having a blast doing it and connecting. It was such a good time. And even my mom, who never really engaged in martial arts, would get in the floor and help me to stretch and do things after I'd come home from class at night. And it was just, I didn't realize it then. I was just a kid, but I loved the attention I got from my parents. I loved connecting with them. And so again, we started this event because it was just like, it's just like a natural connection. The mat is a connecting point for everybody, no matter the age, no matter the situation, you can connect on the mat. So let's get back to this event. Moms on the mat in May, dads on the mat. Why does this work? Moms and dads a lot of times get to sit at the side and they watch their kids, or they just drop them off. There's like a revolving door. Boop, they park, or, they pull through, boom, drop them and leave. And they don't really get to see what's going on. And then the parents that are seeing what's going on don't get this really important ingredient. They don't get to feel what's going on. And so I've also had this comment. Wow, I did not realize how challenging this was. I'm not going to be quite as hard on them now. I'm going to push them, but I'm not going to be quite as hard on them because, man, it just looks easy sitting over there on the sidelines. So, why the event works? It gets the parents out there and lets them actually kind of taste what their students, what their children are actually going through. It creates powerful emotional connections. I already mentioned my dad, but oh my gosh, we used to have such a good time practicing our one-step sparring and self-defenses together. It would turn into a wrestling match on the floor, and then we'd be back up starting the next one. And it was just such great emotional connection for he and I. And it was a common ground. No matter what was going on in my life, his life, or how maybe my dad and I were always kind of close, but no matter what was going on, it was a universal kind of connecting point where we come together and get on common ground. And it's such a powerful thing. Another thing, getting the parents on the mat, I've already alluded to it because they say these things like, wow, I didn't realize how hard my child worked, or now I see why they're getting so coordinated and so much more balanced and athletic, etc. That creates a culture because now you have a kid that comes up struggling one day and they go, oh, mom, I don't want to do this anymore. It's too hard. And mom goes, you know what? I've felt this before, and I'm going to get behind you and I'm going to nudge you forward and support you and keep you on the mat. Which brings me to just a quick thought. When I was a blue belt as a young kid, I walked into my parents and said, I want to quit. My mom looked at me and said, you've come too far. You've worked too hard. We've invested too much. You're not quitting. You're going to at least earn your black belt. And I never turned back again. And I was so glad my mom put her foot down and held me to the fire and held me to my commitment. But anyway, it builds this culture of support, and it helps the parents to understand so much better what the kids are going through. And it's just powerful. It drives referrals and retention through family participation. So what I mean by that is I've already alluded to when that kid comes out and goes, it was a hard class, or I'm just not having fun anymore, or whatever that is that they're having that off day. It's more likely to have the parents step in and go, you know what? This is good for you. I love this because I've gotten to feel it. It's fun. But referrals and retention, it's so powerful because the referral actually is the parent. Because what happens is a lot of times, they're already thinking about getting on the mat. Sometimes they're like, man, I wish I could have done this when I was younger. Man, if I was a little younger, I'd jump out there. And if we can get them on the mat to try, mom's on the mat, dad's on the mat, sometimes it gets them over that hump and the referral becomes the parent. They refer themselves that I'll jump out there on the mat and do this with my kids. We have gotten so many students through the years because they stepped out and they came off and just said, you know what? That was a blast. I love it. And I want more of that. So anyway, enough of that. But why it works? It just works because, again, in my humble opinion, the nuclear family, mom, dad, and children, is just under attack. It's falling apart. We have less of it all the time, and more kids struggling all the time. This is a way to help connect them, to help build some strength in that family setting. And so it just helps so much. It's such a great event. It's also important in how we plan the event, choosing the right date. I've alluded to it. We typically do like the Tuesday before Mother's Day or the Tuesday before Father's Day. Now, if you're a martial arts school operator and you already know your biggest day of the week is Thursday, maybe that's a good day for you to choose. And I'll get into it in another one of the episodes, like the actual breakdown and how we operate it. Because sometimes when I mention this to people, they don't understand. They're like, you just have a separate class one day, one class for moms to come to class. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'll get to that later. But choose a date that works well. We, again, typically choose, for us, Tuesdays tend to be kind of one of our busier days. So we typically do Tuesdays. And guys, make sure you're getting the word out. At least 4 weeks in advance, be announcing it in classes, sending texts and emails, etc., things out to let people know that this is coming up, and send some testimonials out around it, some things that might encourage, maybe send some pictures out that are exciting, create some goals around the event too. What are the goals? We want to show appreciation for the moms. One of the things that we do after a mom's on the mat at the end of the class, we have the kids, tell them, hey, bow to them, thank them for bringing them, present the moms with their own pink belt. Sounds kind of silly, but the moms absolutely love it. They earn their own belt. And by the way, just a little tip for moving forward, the next year mom comes back to do it again, because I actually have moms tell me all the time, that's my favorite day of the year. I love coming and doing class with my kid at least that once, if they don't sign up for classes, right? But the second year they come, they bring their belt back and they earn stripes on their belt. So it's really cool. So we got moms at our school now that have like 5, 6, 7 stripes on their belt from 5, 6, 7 years plus of doing moms on the mat. Our goals are, appreciate the moms, make sure that, and the dads, for dads on the mat, make sure that they know they're appreciated. For the dads, we do a camo belt at the end of class, and their child gets to present their belt to them. And again, I'll get into how we operate the class in another episode. This is just something, our goal is to strengthen family bonds, promote healthy and active lifestyles with families, get them active and moving together. I just feel like families that go out and, they do something active together, they can laugh, they can talk, they can fall down together, they can get up together. It just creates such a good opportunity. it builds amazing community in the school because as the moms or the dads are working with their children in these classes, they're connecting with the other moms and dads and creating relationships and looking at it. The other, dad might look at another dad and be like, holy cow, man, this is really kind of hard. Or, whoa, what a great workout. They're having a good time. And again, I've already alluded to it, but just generating referrals and a parent that's been on the mat and at least has tasted it is way more likely to refer a neighbor or a friend or someone else that says, I'm kind of interested in self defense or martial arts because they've been on the mat. So there is that opportunity. Like I said, we don't get a ton immediately. We usually get, I would say, two to three parents sign up at each event for us, which is, it's not huge, but it's way better than zero. But over time, those who are leaning in will slowly lean in a little harder. Uh, Make sure you prepare your team for the event, have your instructors and assistant instructors lead with tons of energy. Now, I'm gonna say they should be doing that anyway. They should be in there passionate about martial artists first, leading classes with tons of energy and tons of fire. But make sure that you reinforce that for them. Like, hey guys, make sure we're high energy classes. Make sure you have greeters. Someone welcoming the people in. This is great for your teachers in training, your TNT or your leadership team. Have those guys at the front in the lobby shaking hands and welcoming moms, taking them to the shoe shelf and guiding them around and letting them get a chance to lead a little bit, letting them get a chance to show a little personality and again connect with the parents a little bit. Have some photographers, videographers ready, and I'm not talking about hiring a professional particularly, but just have a mom that if you've seen some pictures she posted, she's really great, or a dad, hey, would you be willing? It's a mom. Hey, on dad's on the mat, would you be willing to hop on the mat and take a few pictures for us? Or, a dad on the mom's day, or one of your leadership team members. Just have someone that's kind of dedicated to moving around, getting some good pictures, getting some little video clips of the family's having a great time to create some social media fodder that you'll have that you can, post out there and share. So have a social media manager making posts. And when I say manager, you don't have to have a separate social media manager, but someone in your school that kind of helps with your social media, even have them making posts before and even during little quick live videos, and after the event. So make sure you have your team prepared is really the big thing in that realm. Just make sure they know kind of what their jobs are, where they're going to be, and what they can dedicate themselves to really be good at to make the event just a huge success. Uh, I've already alluded to some of these things, but like pre-event marketing, at least for maybe 5, 6 weeks out, 4 weeks minimum, be promoting it as in-class announcements, flyers, posters around the school, things, a lot of us have TV screens that rotate some sort of advertisement with QR codes for registration. It's another pro tip I would encourage you. Have the moms register ahead. We always do this. Then we have kind of a good count. It's almost like an RSVP. We know kind of what to expect, how to have the team prepared for that. And if anybody doesn't show up, you can always follow up with them and go, hey, is everything okay? And show them that you truly care. And it helps you to track those things. Do countdown posts, on your social media. We have a parent student alumni group, which we think is really powerful, that's only accessible by parents, students, and alumni students. And we post stuff in there about classes, about upcoming events, different things. But that's a great place, and or just on your general social media to be posting some teaser stuff, letting people know in the community that you're family focused and you're really working to pour into families. Share photos, testimonials of previous events. Send out emails, text reminders. We were just laughing about this a few days ago. 'Cause you're probably going, you really have to tell that many, tell people that many different ways and that many times. Absolutely. We used to announce things in classes. We would, hand stuff out to the parents. I even had a sign that I particularly hung in one hallway that everyone had to walk down, that literally people bumped their heads on, announcing things coming up, and would still have parents come in and go, I didn't know about that. And we go, oh my goodness, pay attention. We've been talking about it forever. So email, text, in parent, encourage parents students to invite their parents. So, make sure when you're making the class amount announcements, encourage the students to kind of tug on the mom, and dad's arm a little bit, and like, come do class with me and get them in there. I've yet to have a parent walk off ever out of all of these events and say, I hate that I did this. They always walk out with a smile Now that's because we're strategic in how we handle the class and how we operate things. Again, I'll come to that in another episode, but just make sure that the students are inviting, asking their family to come along. Uh, go live, go live ahead of time to build some excitement about what's going on, explain it, let people know what's going on. And you can even partner with local businesses for sponsorships and giveaways like on Moms on the Mat. You could, maybe a flower shop, have them donate some flowers, or a bookstore donate a specific book for ladies. Gift of Fear is a great book for ladies and for really everybody. But, you can partner with other businesses. And another thing in the partner with other businesses, I will say, here's a little caveat. We're in a military town, and sometimes the kids' parents might be out of the country on a TDY or a PCS or whatever, and they're serving in the military. So with that said, we also will reach out to other businesses, friend businesses, neighbor business, people that we're connected to sometimes, and go, hey, if you have any time on this day, we're gonna do this moms and dads on the mat. We could use some surrogate moms or some surrogate dads to come step on the mat. Because inevitably, when you have a fair amount of students, there'll be one or two kids that either their parents are hard headed and just refuse to participate, which is possible, or their parents are out of town, or maybe it's a single parent situation where they don't have a dad at home, and dad lives in another city, state, whatever. And so having a couple extra dads there to tag in, and these could be students off the mat, some of your mature teens and men that you could go, hey, could you be willing to come in on Dads on the Mat Day for an extra class? And if you're not bringing your parent, would you be willing to be a stand-in parent? And we have that happen, and we've had some great connections made between adult students and younger students sometimes when there's a hole in the family and a kid needs a male influence or a positive female influence from the mom's perspective. And we've had some great connections made through the year. And so really, if you think back through all of this, I've said a lot fast. There's really not a downside to this event and engaging your parents. It is so powerful. And I'm going to kind of at the end here mention one of my personal goals, and one of our goals at Team Chip is, how many martial arts schools could we get in May doing a Moms on the Mat day or week, or however they want to promote that and do that? But how many could we get going? And then at the end of the month of May, be able to pull those numbers together and say something like, in May, we had 10,000 moms jump on the mat to do martial arts with their kids. Think about that. If you're a school owner, that could be really powerful. It could be influential in your community. It shows that you care. It shows that you're pouring into families. It's just such a positive thing. So I think that would be amazing. So I really want to encourage you, if you're a martial arts school owner, we have a free ebook already on how to operate this event at a base level. There'll be a link in the description or in the comments here on the podcast at wherever you get your podcast at. And I highly encourage you to grab that free ebook. No cost. It's just an ebook that we put together to help you to operate the event. And so I just encourage as many martial arts schools as possible to get on board, and let's pour into the nuclear family. Let's pour into helping kids connect with parents and parents connect with kids and tighten that family bond. Our country, our world needs this so, so, so bad. Please step in. And I would also ask that if you're going to do it with us, reach out to us. I don't care who leads it. It's not about us leading the charge on this. It's just about, let's all put our heads together and make it amazing and share our numbers. Because again, how powerful would it be if we could start getting some, maybe even national or world attention on, this one event a year in May and one event a year in June. We got, 50,000 dads on the mat with their kids doing martial arts that a big percentage likely would have never stepped on the mat. So it's just something to think about, and I would encourage you guys to be a part of. Again, remember, in the description, we have a free ebook on how to operate the event. No strings attached. We just want to help you to run an amazing event at the end of the day, to serve you, help you to build your school, your culture, and a lot of positive things. If you're a tough guy, MMA school, do it anyway. If you have any kids in your school, do a Moms and Dads on the Mat, man. It doesn't matter what your culture is. It's going to help. So thank you for listening. Hope you guys got some nuggets out of that. I really think it can be powerful if we all put our heads together and work hard at it. I will catch you on the next episode. Remember, we're going to do a 3-part series. The next one, we're going to be talking about the actual operation of the event. I hope to catch you there. Thank you for tuning into the Team Chip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, subscribe, share, and or leave a review because we need you. We appreciate you so much. And without you, we can't make this happen. Remember, consistency is the key to success. So go out there and never be outworked.